Well, if you've been wondering where the videos are about the Fairlane, we're about to get into it again, because there it all still sits, buried.
Yeah, honey.
So let's talk a little bit about why there has been such a delay on this car. First, let me get my phone and check this. It was July 17th. It is now September 11th. And the gentleman that said that he would be able to press in the bushings into the lower and the upper control arms took them to his work where they sat. And I check in periodically and see if anything had been done. And come to find out, he wasn't going to be doing it, but his boss was going to be doing them. Now, this gentleman just works at a small little behind-the-house garage type garage, and he sent me a message about 3 weeks ago saying that the upper control arm link rod was stripped out. Now, I know, because I took it apart, I cleaned it, I painted it, and it was not stripped out, so I'm assuming that he tried to put that piece on with an impact wrench and it just didn't work. So I ordered a new part, came in, took it over there. It sat there for another couple weeks. Until the other day, when I sent him a message saying, hey, can you check up on the install of those bushings? I'll pay. If you need money, if it'll put me in line faster, I'll pay for the parts, pay for the labor. He said he'd check on it. The next morning, probably mid-morning, I got a message from him saying, hey, all those parts are sitting over in front of your barn door. He didn't want to mess it up or couldn't do it, so I brought them all back to you. So they all came back, not finished, after 2 months.
I think he meant well.
So I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. Then my nephew came over, who works at a large car dealership in the service area, and he said, let me check with the guy at work. Let me check with my trainer at work. Maybe he can get them done. He checked with his trainer. His trainer said, yep, I used to work on a lot of old cars when I lived in Texas. Bring them in, I can get them done. We'll do them for free. So yesterday my nephew come over, loaded up the parts into his car, took them into the shop today. They were busy. Didn't get to them today, but I'm extremely, extremely hopeful that a large car dealership and somebody that has done multiple restorations on old cars will be able to get this done for us. So in the meantime, I decided to get something done, so I took all of this hub apart and I got it all cleaned up and painted. Still have to do the brake drum. It's the other ones underneath there. There's the hub we already did. And on the back of the bench, we still have a bunch of old parts and new parts that need to go on. And if you watched any of the other older videos, I was talking about how I had to grind down the new ball joint just to get them to fit, and I didn't like the way they fit. So I don't think these ball joints are bad. They're not loose. This is the one we just took off of this is the upper one, and the one we're cleaning. And the lower one, they all seem to still be pretty tight. I'm pretty tempted. I think I'm just going to clean these up and put the old ones back on. Keep the new ones just in case I need them going down the road, but I think these should be fine. I'll throw some new grease in them. Hopefully that works. So what I still have to do, I still have got some parts to clean up. I still have all the original bolts that I want to clean so I can reuse some of them, and the upper and lower ball joints. But I don't want to get these fancy shorts all dirty. I have a solution for that. Okay, wrap me up, honey. Yep.
Right there.
Yep. That's good. Now we gotta cut it. Got a knife. Should be able to just pull the plastic down. Look at that. It's like it's made for it.
I bet this is good.
Yeah, that's fine. put some tape on. Don't want to be.
Your skirt from flying up.
Somebody might see my underskivvies that way. Thanks, my dear. One more word of advice. I guess it's the only word of advice I've given yet. If you are working on the grinder with this wire wheel and you're working it this way, if you get your arm too close to this big stone grinding wheel, it'll get you. It'll get you good. It's cauterized it all immediately. All right, we have gotten all of our parts cleaned up. I cleaned up the old ball joints as good as I'm going to get them. Steering knuckle's good. Or is that the steering knuckle? Whatever that is, it's good. Bolts are cleaned up. I do know I'm going to have to change out the brake cylinder behind there. As you can see on that one, it is cracked and split, and of course they would be after sitting for so long. I think the shoes, the pads will be good enough for now for what we're going to do, just to get it moving, because they're easy enough to change down the road. But there's not much in these brakes. 2 springs, 3 springs. But we're going to get all this put together and get it ready, get the new ball joints in. Still got to clean the other ball joints. Then we will get, what else do we got? New tie rod ends. Get all that hooked up and get it ready to go back in as soon as we get our upper and lower control arms back. Well, it's been a couple of weeks, but we have been working on stuff. We got the sway arm all sanded down, cleaned up, and painted. And we do have some brand new bushings to go on it once it's completely dry. I don't know exactly how, but somehow that little bitty thing, bushing, needs to fit over this big fat end. I'm not sure how that's supposed to work, but we're going to try. Let's see if we can just... Oh yeah, it'll go. Okay, it will go, just not at that angle. Give it a go from this side. Oh yeah. Oh, that was easier than expected. Went ahead and put the link bushing back on. I think that's the way it goes. I don't remember when I took it apart. So these are just on there loosely so I can quickly move them, flip them around if I need to, but I think that's the way they go on there. These bushings are on there and ready to go. Got to find the clamps for those. But one sway arm ready to go. One other thing that I got that I didn't even know that I needed until I got it was this handy apron. I'll put the link in the description where I got this from Amazon. Comes up over the shoulder twice. Wife makes fun of me for wearing my apron.
I do not. I think you're handsome.
But it crosses here in the back. That's really nice. And then it's got all these pockets on it. It's got big pockets here in the front and even bigger pockets here. But one of the coolest things, it's got magnets in it.
You're like Magneto.
Hold your tools, just like Magneto. So according to my wife out there, she says I need another one of these that I can take in the house because I have a tendency to eat chips and whatever else, wipe them on my pants. Problem solved. Well, we finally got all of our A-arms back with all the new bushings in it, but we have made a critical error. So when we fit for this front cross member to go in, we put the control arm under there with the old bushings in, tightened everything down to where it's going to be welded in the front. But what we forgot, washers. We are about 1/4 of an inch off on both sides from being able to put the control arm in, which now means we get to cut this out, move it forward, and weld it all back in. Trial and error, folks. Trial and error. We tried it, we aired, we're gonna try it again, we're gonna see if it fits. And I think I'm missing one of these washers. I don't know why they're flat on that end. But you can see where the bearing actually rides on it. That shiny groove in it right there. Where the lower bushing actually sits into it. Completely forgot it. So now we're off, but just metal. We got more of it. I really, really don't want to do this, but we have no choice. It's got to move forward. Okay, see if these are loose. That one's loose. That one appears to be loose. This one popped. That one's free. I think it's just the ones up underneath. Oh, the inside. Crap. Well, should be ready to come out again. Maybe. Alright, now I think I'm ready. There we go. So I'll spend a little bit of time cleaning these up, get them ready to be re-welded back on. Same with this side. I got some grinding and cleanup work to do on the front cross member. Got into it a little bit right there. Got into it a little bit right there, so I'll clean that up, re-weld it, clean it, repaint it, and get it ready to go back in. I welded up the spots where I cut into that cross member. There's a spot there, one there, and another one right there. So while I wait on that to cool so I can grind it down smooth again, I'm going to start getting the back of this installed, get the control arm up there so we can then fit the front end back on, push everything up tight, and then weld it back into place. These bolts go in. Yep. I really should have paid closer attention when I took it off, because I think one of those washers goes here as well as on the front side, but I can't remember. And I'm missing one. The diagram does not show it, so I'm not going to put it back on that end. Alright, let's see what kind of damage we can do. So this should go right on like so. Then a flat washer, then a lock washer, then nut. Okay, same on the back side. This nut goes on. Flat washer, lock washer, nut. Okay, here's where we are at. I got the front cross member all welded, fixed, repaired, ground back down. Put it back in the front of the car. Put the lower A-arms in there loosely. You can still move them. Both of them. None of the bolts are tight. They're just in there. I measured the distance from this point to this point on both sides, and it is exactly the same. So I think we should be good to weld that in and then tighten all those bolts down. Okay, I'm just going to tack weld this a little bit and to make sure that I am where I want to be. And then once I get all that set, I'll finish welding it in. One more check on the measurements. 21 1/16. 21 1/16. Okay, got all of our tack welds in, at least on the top. It is quite a bit different than what it was when we had it in before. I'm probably going to have to fab in a piece of metal here to connect it, as well as right here. This side still looks like it should be pretty close, but if we measure from a common point on each side, 21 1/16, 21 1/16. So now I finish welding all of this in, permanently welding it in again, which is fine. Lesson learned. I don't know, only in once, out, and then back in again. Seems pretty good to me. Before I get too far along with tightening everything down and welding everything in, I think I'm going to put everything together loosely, make sure everything's in alignment. Then I'll make my final welds, my final torque specs, get all that stuff done. Hopefully get this knocked out pretty quickly. But first, ball joints. I'll put them in, tighten everything down, and re-grease them, and that should be good for us. Okay, lower ball joint. Just gotta slide that in like so. Bolt. Bolt. Yeah, get in there. Official hammer. And then the bump stop goes in right through there. Put that lock washer and nut on the bump stop. Lock washer and nuts on these bolts. There we go. Tighten the bump stop. Okay, next step, upper ball joints. So they go in just like this. This is the factory hardware. This one goes up through the middle one. And these go down through here. Just like that. Washer and nut. Washer and nut. And then we just tighten it all down. Same thing with this one. Good to go. Okay, next in line is the steering linkage. Better put a nut on that first. Yep, just like that. And this end goes right through there. Like that. And this tie rod end will go right through here. Like that. And everything is still very loosely put together, but once we get the hubs on, linkage will all connect up. We'll be good. Okay. Take that bolt off the lower ball joint. And this should all fit right up in through there. Just like that. Then this linkage should fit right into there. Should. But it's not. Okay, figured it out. Had them on the wrong side. I got this knuckle right here turned around backwards on both of them. I could tell because this end is tapered right here and this one is not. So now this should be able to go up into here. Now this should be able to fit up in there. There we go. Grab it and hold it up. Loosely put these together. Just like that. Beautiful. Other side. Success. It is back together. Everything is still loose. I haven't tightened anything down. I still got to put shims in there, which I didn't watch when I took it out, so I don't know which way they go. All the sway arm bolts are just loosely in there. Nothing is tightened down all the way, but it is all together, with the exception of the springs and the shocks. But I have a reason for that, and I'll show you in just a minute. But I'm super happy that the rest of it is finally back together. Because now the hope is that I can get some tires on it, which I don't think those hold air, and get it back on the ground and be able to move it around and set the ride height, which is what's coming up next. I did buy brand new shocks for it, so those are going on. And I have the original springs sitting here, and I want to lower the car a couple of inches. So I've already done all my measuring, and I need to lop these off right there and take one full coil out of it. And that should drop it about 2 inches in the front. So I gotta work on that, which I'm ready. I don't understand the math, because math's stupid, but they said, from what I've researched, 1 inch off the springs is 2 inch off the body, or the fender. Something like that. I don't understand how it works. And worst case scenario, if I do mess these up, it's too low, then I can get some Ford Aerostar springs that fit right in here and they lower it down. Or if it's still too high, I can take them back out and lop a little bit more off of this. But let's get to this. And there we go. Now, I do know you don't want to torch these off because it changes the chemical makeup and won't make them as springy anymore. Something like that, I don't know. But I'm going to go with this. Now I just got to get the other one done. So there's both pieces that I just cut off. Everything works out the exact same length. If you hold it, squint your eyes the right way. Well, I got those springs cut, but I'm not going to put them in yet today. I got to jack the car up. I got to drop pieces from the sway arm. I got to get the spring situated. I got to jack it back up underneath there. Got to get weight on it so it don't lift the car back up. It's going to be a whole thing, so I'm going to take care of that one later. In the meantime, I still have a lot of welding to do to get this front cross member back in. I have all these nuts and bolts to tighten back up and make sure everything is still in alignment. I am over the moon excited at this point because it has been probably a year in the making since we tore all this out of here. Probably a little bit over a year. We took all this stuff out and we started working on all the front end here, and it has just been one thing after another. I'm extremely angry with myself first for taking out those old bushings and trying to replace them. That was a 4-month venture all on its own, but we got it done. I did finally end up giving somebody $100 to take care of that for me, and they got them in a couple of days, so that was great, and I appreciate that. But momentum is back. I'm ready to get going on it some more. This was a huge step. Now that this is done, we can get engine placed in here and set, and engine mounts and all this other stuff that we need to get done to this car. Everything was kind of held up just from this little front end project. At the moment, I'm extremely happy to get it to this point. I can't wait to see what's going to happen to it next and where we're going to go and how quickly we can get it done and get it put together. But for now, it's getting a little bit late. We've been out here all day working on this. Gonna go in, spend a little bit of time with my lovely wife sitting over there after she forces me to take a shower because I stink pretty bad. It's pretty warm for middle of November, early November, whatever it is. So that's gonna do it for this one. We appreciate you watching. Hopefully, we'll see you on the next one.